Imagine stumbling upon a tomb that hasn't been touched for 3,500 years. Buried deep beneath the earth, untouched by time, lies the body of a forgotten queen. But when scientists opened the tomb, they couldn't believe their eyes. The queen's body was so perfectly preserved, it was as if she could wake up at any moment. Her skin was smooth, her hair still shining, and her jewelry glittered in the dim light of their flashlights. It was like time had stopped, but the discovery wasn't just surprising, it was terrifying. There were strange symbols on the walls, symbols no one had ever seen before. And then, something even weirder happened. After the tomb was opened, members of the team began to feel sick. Not just a little sick, but seriously ill. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. Most likely, you're familiar with the renowned curse associated with King Tutankhamun's tomb, the 1922 discovery of the young pharaoh. Shortly after, people involved in the discovery began dying in mysterious ways. Some say it was just bad luck, but others believe it was the work of an ancient curse, protecting the secrets of the dead. But this queen's tomb was even stranger. The items inside didn't match what we know about ancient Egypt. There were objects that seemed too advanced for the time, like they belonged to a future that shouldn't exist yet. The queen herself, however, was a mystery. Someone had erased her story from history and scratched her name off the walls, as if they wanted the world to forget her completely. So, who was this mysterious queen, and why did her tomb leave scientists speechless? Let's dive into the incredible and chilling details of this discovery. The story starts in the Valley of the Kings, a place in Egypt where many of the ancient pharaohs were buried. For years, archaeologists have searched this area, hoping to uncover new secrets from the past, but no one expected to find what they did. Hidden beneath layers of rock and sand, far from the other tombs, was an entrance that led to an unknown burial chamber. No records listed it, and no one had ever heard of a queen's burial there. When the archaeologists finally managed to open the tomb, they were hit with a wave of cool, dry air that hadn't been breathed in thousands of years. Strange markings, unlike any seen in other Egyptian tombs, covered the walls inside. In the center of the room was a massive stone sarcophagus. Thousands of years had passed, but the gold leaf covering and inlaid precious stones still sparkled. The archaeologists held their breath as they lifted the heavy lid, revealing the queen inside. The queen's body was almost perfectly preserved. Unlike other mummies whose skin turns dark and leathery over time, her skin was pale and smooth. Her hair, seemingly styled just days ago, retained its original color. Her eyes, though closed, still had eyelashes that were intact. She wore a delicate linen gown and adorned her fingers with gold and gemstone rings. Scientists couldn't understand how this was possible. Even with the best mummification techniques, no body should have been this well preserved after 3,500 years. It was as if she had just fallen asleep. After the discovery, the team celebrated. This was one of the biggest finds in history. But then things took a dark turn. One of the lead archaeologists fell ill a few days after the tomb's opening. At first, it seemed like just a cold, but his condition quickly worsened. Soon, others from the team began feeling sick too. They experienced fevers, hallucinations, and in some cases, even paralysis. Remember to join our community by subscribing to this channel. The ancient Egyptians believed in protecting their tombs with powerful spells and rituals. Some even believed that disturbing the dead would awaken their spirits, bringing misfortune to the living. Scientists, typically relying on facts and evidence, encountered an unexplainable situation. The local workers refused to go near the tomb again, and rumors of a deadly curse spread like wildfire. The ancient Egyptians spent their entire lives preparing for what came after. To them, death wasn't something to fear, it was something to master. They believed that if the body was preserved perfectly, the soul could live on forever in the afterlife. This is why they developed the process of mummification, a technique so advanced that it has left scientists baffled even today. But this queen's body, found in 2023, buried in a forgotten tomb in the Valley of the Kings, was different. Unlike other mummies, whose skin turns leathery and dark over time, her body was as if it had been frozen in time. Fear of what would happen if they didn't reach the afterlife drove the Egyptians. They believed in a series of trials that the soul had to pass to reach eternal life. If you failed any of these trials, you would be doomed to wander the earth forever as a restless spirit. People created powerful protective spells and curses to place on tombs as a result of this fear. These weren't just empty threats, they were believed to have real power. Disturbing a tomb wasn't just a crime against the dead, it was an invitation for the wrath of the afterlife to come down upon you. This isn't the first time something like this has happened. In 1922, when Howard Carter discovered the tomb of King Tutankhamun, strange things began to happen. Just months after the tomb was opened, Lord Carnarvon, the man who funded the expedition, died from an infected mosquito bite. Over the next few years, more than a dozen people connected to the tomb's discovery died under mysterious circumstances. Newspapers at the time called it the Curse of the Pharaohs, and the world became obsessed with the idea that ancient Egyptian tombs were protected by supernatural forces. But there's something even stranger about this queen. She had no name, unlike other pharaohs and royals. In ancient Egypt, a person's name was believed to be a crucial part of their soul. To erase someone's name was to condemn them to eternal oblivion. It was the ultimate punishment, worse than death itself. The artifacts found in her tomb only deepened the mystery. Some of them didn't match anything from the known timeline of Egyptian history. Tools made from unknown metals, scrolls written in a language that even the best Egyptologists couldn't decipher, and objects that seemed too advanced for the time. Many have come to believe that powerful spiritual forces protected the queen's tomb as a result of these events. The ancient Egyptians believed in the power of spoken words and sacred spells. They carved curses into tomb walls to warn future intruders. Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the king. One of the strangest aspects of the tomb was the mysterious symbols covering the walls and artifacts. Despite the centuries-long study of Egyptian hieroglyphs, these symbols defied any known script. They were intricate, almost otherworldly, with shapes and patterns that seemed to shimmer when light touched them. Some believe these symbols were spiritual seals, designed to bind or contain something within the tomb. Others think they could be messages left behind by a lost civilization, a culture that existed before or alongside the ancient Egyptians, but has since vanished from history. But the most unsettling theory is that these symbols weren't meant for humans at all. Some researchers speculate they were intended to communicate with the spirit world, calling on forces beyond our understanding to protect the tomb or guide the queen's soul. In addition to the strange symbols in the tomb, scientists discovered something even more bizarre on the queen's body itself: tattoos. These weren't decorative designs like we see today. They were carefully placed symbols that covered her arms, back, and even her face. In ancient Egypt, tattoos weren't common, especially among royalty. When they did appear, they often had spiritual or ritualistic significance. Some believe the queen's tattoos were protective charms, meant to shield her from harm in the afterlife. Others think they were marks of power, giving her control over the spirit world or linking her to the gods. But the tattoos didn't match any known Egyptian symbols. They resembled the strange markings found in the tomb, suggesting a deeper, hidden knowledge. As scientists continue to study the tomb, they're uncovering more questions than answers. The items and symbols found inside suggest that the ancient Egyptians may have had a deeper understanding of the supernatural than we realize. But they also hint at something far more frightening: that death isn't as final as we thought. Using advanced imaging tools, researchers created a digital replica of the tomb, capturing every detail without disturbing a single object. This technology allowed them to explore the tomb virtually, identifying hidden compartments and strange patterns on the walls that the naked eye might have missed. But what the scans revealed was unsettling. hidden chambers and sealed-off passages that weren't part of any known Egyptian tomb design. Even more puzzling were the materials found in the tomb. With X-ray fluorescence spectrometry, scientists analyzed the Queen's jewelry and discovered unknown metals, elements that didn't match anything in the ancient Egyptian record. One of the most remarkable tools at scientists' disposal is DNA analysis. By carefully extracting genetic material from the Queen's remains, researchers hope to learn more about her origins, health, and perhaps even why her name was erased from history. The Queen's DNA showed mutations linked to diseases we thought only existed in modern times, like arteriosclerosis, a condition where the arteries harden and narrow. This discovery suggests that these illnesses have been around for thousands of years, challenging our understanding of human health and evolution. Even more bizarre, her genetic markers didn't entirely match those of ancient Egyptian royalty. Instead, they hinted at a lineage from an unknown region, suggesting the Queen may have had roots in a lost or hidden civilization. And it didn't stop there. Some scientists noticed anomalies in her DNA, sequences that didn't belong to any known human or animal group. Are you enjoying the story? Support our channel by clicking the subscribe button. Using advanced X-ray imaging, scientists were able to look inside the Queen's sarcophagus and examine her body without damaging it. What they saw left them stunned. With the help of facial reconstruction software, scientists pieced together what the Queen looked like in life. Using the data from her skull and soft tissue, they created a lifelike image of her face, bringing a 3,500-year-old ruler back from the dead. When the team saw the final image on the screen, they couldn't contain their shock. Her features were hauntingly familiar, almost too modern. Her eyes trailed behind you, and her expression exuded an unsettling intensity, as if she knew she was under observation. Some team members even claimed to feel uneasy in the presence of her image, as though the Queen herself was still present, watching over her tomb. But what many people don't know is that some of Egypt's most influential leaders were not kings, but queens. These women weren't just there to grace the throne. They led armies, built grand temples, and made decisions that changed the course of Egyptian history. Now let's learn the story of three queens who marked this era: Hatshepsut, Ahmose-Nefertari, and Tiye. Let's start with Hatshepsut, one of the first women in history to rule Egypt as a pharaoh. In ancient Egypt, pharaohs were usually men, but Hatshepsut wasn't going to let that stop her. She was born around 1507 BC and was the daughter of Pharaoh Thutmose I. After her father died, her younger half-brother Thutmose III was supposed to become king. But he was just a little boy, too young to rule by himself. So Hatshepsut stepped in as his regent, which means she ruled the country for him until he grew up. But here's the twist. Hatshepsut didn't step aside when Thutmose III got older. Instead, she declared herself pharaoh, becoming one of the few women to take the title. She even wore the traditional false beard and royal clothes that male pharaohs wore to make herself look the part. Hatshepsut wasn't just a ruler in name. She was one of the greatest pharaohs Egypt ever had. She led Egypt through a time of peace and prosperity. She didn't focus on war. Instead, she built huge temples and monuments that still stand today, like her magnificent temple at Deir el-Bahari. She also reopened important trade routes, bringing in treasures like gold, ivory, and exotic plants from distant lands, including a famous expedition to the land of Punt, a mysterious kingdom we still don't know much about today. Even though Hatshepsut was an amazing leader, after her death around 1458 BC, many of her statues and monuments were destroyed or erased. Some historians believe her stepson, Thutmose III, wanted to make people forget that a woman had ruled Egypt, but history remembers her as one of Egypt's most powerful queens, a woman who broke the rules and proved that leadership wasn't just for men. Next, let's meet Ahmose-Nefertari, a queen who lived even earlier than Hatshepsut, around 1550 BC. She married Ahmose-Fun, the first pharaoh of the 18th dynasty, one of Egypt's most powerful. But Ahmose-Nefertari wasn't just any queen. She played a huge role in shaping Egypt's future. At the time, Egypt had just gone through a tough period called the Second Intermediate Period, where foreign rulers called the Hyksos had taken over parts of the country. Ahmose I led the fight to kick the Hyksos out and reunite Egypt, and Ahmose-Nefertari was right by his side. She wasn't just a queen sitting quietly in the palace. She was deeply involved in politics and even helped with military decisions. Ahmose-Nefertari was also highly respected because of her religious power. She was given the title of God's Wife of Amun, a very important religious role that gave her both spiritual and political influence. This title allowed her to control temple lands and wealth, making her one of the richest and most powerful people in Egypt. People continued to worship Ahmose-Nefertari as a goddess even after her death. People prayed to her for protection, and her image appeared in temples for hundreds of years. She helped lay the foundation for the powerful 18th dynasty, making her one of the most important queens in Egyptian history. Last but not least, we have Tiye, a queen who lived during the 14th century BC and was married to Amenhotep III, one of Egypt's greatest pharaohs. But Tiye wasn't just the pharaoh's wife. She was his closest advisor and played a major role in running the empire. Tiye was different from many queens before her. She wasn't from royal blood. She came from a wealthy, influential family, but she wasn't born a princess. Despite this, Amenhotep III loved and respected her so much that he made her his equal in many ways. She appeared in official documents and statues alongside the pharaoh, something that wasn't common for queens at the time. Tiye was known for her intelligence and strong personality. She gave advice on political matters and even dealt with foreign leaders. Letters from other kings from far-off lands show that they respected her opinion and saw her as a powerful figure in Egypt's government. But Tiye's influence didn't stop with her husband. She was also the mother of Akhenaten, the pharaoh who tried to change Egypt's religion by focusing on worshipping just one god, Aten, the sun disk. This was a huge shift in Egyptian tradition, and many historians believe Tiye's ideas and influence played a role in her son's bold religious reforms. Tiye was also the grandmother of Tutankhamun, the famous boy king whose tomb was discovered almost completely intact in 1922. Through her children and grandchildren, Tiye's legacy continued to shape Egypt for generations. If you're enjoying these incredible discoveries, hit that super thanks for keeping the stories coming. Their stories inspire us even today because they remind us that leadership and strength come in many forms. They faced challenges, broke the rules, and left behind legacies that lasted for thousands of years. And even though some people tried to erase their names from history, their stories live on, proving that true power isn't just about being remembered. It's about making a difference that can't be forgotten. In 2023, a discovery was made that left scientists and archaeologists alike speechless. The tomb of a 3,500-year-old queen was uncovered in the Valley of the Kings, and what lay inside defied explanation. When the tomb was first opened, researchers were stunned to find the queen's body almost perfectly preserved. Unlike typical mummies, whose skin darkens and shrivels over time, her body appeared untouched by the centuries, as if she had only recently passed. Her smooth skin, intact hair, and lifelike appearance raised immediate questions. The tomb itself was filled with strange artifacts and symbols that didn't match any known Egyptian scripts. Advanced tools like 3D scanning, X-ray imaging, and DNA analysis were employed to unlock the tomb's secrets. But instead of answers, these technologies revealed even more puzzling details. The Queen's DNA contained anomalies that didn't align with ancient Egyptian genetics, and materials found in the tomb appeared to be made from unknown metals, suggesting the use of technologies far beyond what we believed possible for the time. Even more unsettling were the supernatural events reported after the tomb's discovery. Several members of the excavation team fell ill under mysterious circumstances, experiencing hallucinations, fevers, and, in some cases, even unexplained deaths. This sparked whispers of a curse, reminiscent of the infamous Curse of the Pharaohs linked to King Tutankhamun's tomb. While some dismissed these events as coincidence, others couldn't ignore the eerie similarities to past discoveries, where disturbing the dead seemed to come with dire consequences. Thanks for watching. Join our community by subscribing to this channel. Until the next video.